I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, spilling all his guts about a betrayal like this, but here we are. My name's Jake, and I was with my wife Emily for about 5 years before everything fell apart. We seemed fine, or at least I thought so. We joke, plan our future, talk about having kids someday, all the normal stuff. I was honestly happy, or so I believed. She had this sharp tongue, a bitchy streak that I used to find funny, but lately it was wearing thin. She'd snap at me over the smallest things, act distant, like she was just waiting for an excuse to tear me down. I started noticing little things that didn't add up. Her phone, for example, would be glued to her hand more than usual. She'd hide her screen when I came into the room, and I'd catch her deleting messages or clearing her notifications. It was weird, but I told myself it was just her being protective of her privacy. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She'd also get weirdly defensive whenever I asked what she was up to or who she was talking to. She'd call me paranoid, accuse me of snooping, but then she'd get defensive when I pressed her about her secretive behavior. One night, I came home early from work unexpectedly. I wanted to surprise her with dinner. I walked into the apartment and immediately noticed her phone was on the table, unlocked. That struck me as odd because she'd normally keep it face down or in her purse. I was about to ignore it when I saw a message pop up on the screen. It was from some guy named Tyler, and it wasn't just a friendly, "Hey, how's your day" kind of thing. No, it was more like they were planning something. I read a few texts and my stomach dropped. They were talking about meeting up that night, how much they wanted to see each other, and some pretty explicit stuff about sex. I froze. My mind went blank for a second. I couldn't believe it. My wife Emily with my best friend Tyler, just weeks before our wedding. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stared at the phone, trying to process what I'd seen. This wasn't just a flirtation. It was full-blown cheating. How could she hide this from me? How long had it been going on? Had she been lying to me all along about what she wanted? I had no idea how to react, so I just took the phone, slipped it into my pocket, and waited for her to come home. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't prepared for what was coming next. When Emily finally got home that evening, I was sitting on the couch, pretending to be calm, but inside I was a mess. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what I was going to say, how I was going to handle this. She walked in, looking annoyed as usual, tossing her purse on the table like she owned the place. I looked at her and just blurted out, "What the hell is going on with you and Tyler?" Her expression immediately changed. She looked at me like I'd just sprouted another head. She scoffed, crossing her arms. "What are you talking about? There's nothing going on." But her eyes flicked away, avoiding mine, and I knew she was lying. I pulled out her phone and showed her the messages. Her face went pale for a second, then she shot back with a nasty smirk. "Oh, so what if I was? You think you're perfect, huh? You think I haven't wanted to get out of this marriage for a while?" I felt like I'd been punched again, but I kept my voice steady. "You've been cheating on me, with my best friend. You lied to my face for months, Emily. How long has this been going on?" She rolled her eyes, trying to act like I was overreacting. "It's not that simple. Tyler's just a friend and I was just bored. You're always working, never paying attention to me. I needed something, okay? And I told him I wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything." I couldn't believe the bullshit I was hearing. How did she justify it? How could she call cheating nothing and act like she was the victim? I honestly felt betrayed from every angle. My stomach was twisting, my chest was tight, and I felt a surge of anger I'd never experienced before. How many times had I trusted her? How many nights had I come home thinking everything was fine when she was out? Maybe with him. I wanted to scream, but instead I asked her, "Did you ever love me, or was I just a placeholder for your boredom?" She looked at me with that bitchy smirk again, like she enjoyed the power she had over me. "You're so dramatic. It's not like I cheated on you every day. It's just sex, Jake. It's not like I'm some whore." That hit me hard. Sex. Just sex. Like I was nothing more than a mistake, a placeholder, someone to keep around because she didn't want to be alone. I felt numb and furious all at once. I'd never felt so insignificant in my life. That night everything changed. The trust was shattered. I kept replaying those messages in my head, trying to understand how she could do this, how I missed all the signs. I knew this wasn't just about cheating anymore. It was about the life we'd built, the future I'd pictured, the woman I thought I knew. And suddenly I felt like I was looking at a stranger in the mirror. Over the next few days, everything was a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind kept circling back to her lies, her smirks, that damn message from Tyler. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner. All those little signs, her secretive texts, her defensive attitude, were right in front of me. I just refused to accept the truth. I wanted to believe it was all a mistake, a misunderstanding, that maybe she'd just been bored and made a horrible choice. But deep down, I knew better. I decided I had to confront her again. I needed answers, and this time I was going to get them. I waited until she was home alone, and when she walked in, I was already standing there staring her down. She looked annoyed, like I was bothering her, but I didn't care anymore. I pointed at her, my voice shaking but trying to stay steady. "You lied to me. You and Tyler, you've been seeing each other behind my back. How long has this been going on?" She rolled her eyes and scoffed. "God, you're so paranoid. It's just a stupid mistake. We're not even serious. I was just bored, Jake. You're always working, never paying attention to me. I needed something else, okay? It's not a big deal." Her words felt like daggers. I was furious, betrayed, and honestly kind of destroyed. I looked at her, trying to process the fact that she was justifying cheating as some sort of boredom fix. "Just a mistake," I repeated, voice rising. "You think cheating on me with my best friend is just a mistake? You think I'm just supposed to forget about this? Do you even love me, Emily? Or was I just convenient to have around until you got bored?" She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, like she enjoyed making me feel small. "Love, please, you were never that great. You work all the time, never listen, never pay attention. Tyler's just a better guy, more exciting, more fun. I don't need to justify myself to you." That hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt my hands trembling, my heart pounding. I wanted to yell, to scream, to break something, but instead I just shook my head and walked out. I couldn't even look at her anymore. I realized then that I'd been a fool for so long, pretending everything was okay when it was. I'd built my entire life around her, and she'd just torn it apart like it was nothing. I didn't know if I wanted her to leave or if I wanted to disappear. All I knew was that I needed time to think, to figure out what I was going to do next. That night I stayed up all night, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words, her lies. I felt like my entire world had collapsed. I kept asking myself, was this really the woman I thought I knew? Could she be that cold, that selfish? Or was I just blind, too trusting, too naive? I knew I had to make a choice. I could try to forgive her, or I could walk away and start over. But right then, I felt like I was standing at the edge of something I might not come back from. The days that followed were like walking through a fog. I went through the motions, work, eating, pretending everything was fine, yet inside I was anything but. The betrayal weighed heavily on me. Every time I saw her, Emily, that bitchy, smirking face, I felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and utter disappointment. It was hard to look at her without seeing the lies. The sex with Tyler, the way she had so easily trashed everything we'd built. I kept asking myself how I'd let this happen, how I didn't see any of it coming. I was supposed to be the smart one, the guy who could read people, and I missed it all. I knew I couldn't go on pretending that things could somehow go back to normal. I needed to do something, but I was also scared of what that might be. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand answers, to see if she'd just admit everything. But another part of me, the angry, vengeful side, was boiling over. I wanted to make her pay for what she did. Not physically, but in a way that hit her where it hurt, like she'd intentionally stepped on my heart. I decided I'd take control of this, even if it meant some ugly things. One night I set up a fake social media account, anonymous, just a burner phone. I started messaging her, pretending to be someone else, trying to lure her into talking about Tyler. I played it cool, acting like I was just some guy interested in her, hoping she'd slip up again, show her true colors. It was a gamble, but I needed to catch her in a lie, see if she'd slip into her old ways. And sure enough, after a few messages, she started opening up, talking about how Tyler really knows her, how sex with him was better, and how she was tired of pretending she wanted to stay with me. I felt a sick satisfaction. It was like a small victory, proof that she'd been lying all along. I didn't reply right away, just watched her reactions, saw how comfortable she was revealing her true feelings. That moment made me realize how deep the betrayal went. I had trusted her completely, and she just used me as a safety net while she chased some fleeting excitement with Tyler. It hit me hard, made me question everything. Was I just a backup plan, a safety net for her boredom? Or was I a fool for believing she loved me? That night was the turning point. I knew I had to make a decision. I could keep playing her game, try to fix this, or I could do something radical. I wasn't ready to forgive her, not even close. Honestly, I just wanted her to understand how badly she'd screwed up. I decided I'd give her one last chance to come clean, to tell me the truth, and then I'd decide what to do. I was tired of being the fool, tired of feeling like I was just some character in her twisted story. Whatever I was going to do, I knew I wouldn't be the same anymore. That trust, it was gone, and that realization crushed me more than anything else. The day I finally decided to confront her for real, I was more nervous than I'd ever been. I knew this was it. I had to get it all out, lay everything on the line, and see if she'd finally admit the truth or keep hiding behind her bullshit. I waited until she came home from work, acting like everything was normal. But inside, I was simmering with a mix of rage and heartbreak. I had my phone ready, all the messages, all the evidence, and my heart pounding like crazy. She walked through the door with that typical bitchy smirk, already acting like she owned the place. I pointed at her, voice low but firm. "Emily, I know about Tyler, I know everything. The texts, the sex, all of it." Her eyes flickered with surprise for a second, then she rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Oh please, you're so dramatic, it's not like I cheated on you every day. It was just sex, Jake, calm down." I shook my head, furious. "No, it's not just sex, it's betrayal. You lied to my face for months. How long has this been going on?" Her smirk grew wider, like she was enjoying putting me through this. "Look, I didn't mean for it to get this out of hand. I was bored, okay? And Tyler, he's better than you. He listens, he cares. You're always working, never paying attention to me. I needed something more." I felt my heart break all over again. How could she be so selfish? How could she justify this? I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see how much she'd hurt me. Instead, I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "You think I don't know what this is? You're just a spoiled bitch who thinks she's entitled to whatever she wants. You don't love me, you never did. You just wanted a safety net, someone to settle for when Tyler was done playing with you." Her eyes flashed with anger now. "You're so full of yourself, you're not even that good in bed. Tyler's better, he actually cares about me. Maybe if you weren't so boring, you'd be worth keeping around." That was the last straw. I felt like I was burning from the inside out. I realized then that I'd been a fool for so long, just accepting her lies, her shit. She was just using me, pretending to be the perfect wife, while behind my back she was out banging my best friend. I turned away, feeling like my world had crumbled. My hands trembled and I fought back tears. I told her to get out. I didn't want to see her, didn't want to breathe the same air as her lying face. I knew I couldn't fix this, at least not with her. I needed space, time to think about what kind of life I wanted without her, because this was beyond a mistake. It was a complete, gut-wrenching betrayal, and in that moment I realized I had a choice. I could try to forgive her, to pretend it never happened, or I could walk away. Honestly, part of me wanted to walk away and forget I ever knew her. I felt so empty, so broken, that I didn't know if I'd ever recover from this. But one thing was clear, she wasn't the woman I thought she was. She was a cheat, a liar, and now a stranger. The trust was gone, and so was the love. The question was, what the hell do I do next? After she left that day, I stayed in the apartment alone, staring at the empty space where she used to be. The silence was deafening. I felt like I was drowning in a mix of relief and despair. Relief because I finally knew the truth, and despair because I realized how much of my life I'd wasted on someone who didn't deserve it. Everything I had believed in, everything I'd fought for, just crumbled in that moment. I kept asking myself if I could ever trust again, if I'd ever feel whole after this kind of betrayal. The answer was no, at least not anytime soon. In the days that followed, I knew I had to make some decisions. I spoke to a lawyer, started sorting out the paperwork for a divorce, and began the slow process of healing. It was painful, but it was also liberating. I'd spent so much energy trying to salvage something that was already broken beyond repair. She cheated, lied, and dismissed my feelings like they didn't matter. That's not the kind of person I want to spend my life with. I realized I was better off alone than with someone who saw me as just a backup plan or a convenience. Looking back, I learned a few things I'd never really appreciated before. First, trust is everything in a relationship, and once it's gone, it's damn near impossible to get back. Second, never ignore your gut. Those little signs I brushed off, her secretive texts, her defensive attitude, they were screaming at me and I should have listened. And finally, you can't control someone else's actions, but you can control how you respond. Walking away was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the smartest. I'm not perfect, and I still feel the sting of betrayal every now and then. But I also feel a sense of relief that I finally took back some control. I'm learning to trust myself again, to rebuild my life one step at a time. I don't regret what happened because it taught me that I deserve honesty, respect, and someone who genuinely cares for me, not just someone pretending to while secretly screwing around with my best friend. To anyone out there going through something similar, I'll say this: don't ignore the red flags. Don't stay in a situation where you feel less than valued. And most importantly, don't be afraid to walk away, no matter how much it hurts. Because in the end, you'll be better off alone than with someone who treats you like an afterthought. I may be broken right now, but I'll heal. And someday, I'll find someone who truly deserves my trust and my love, not a liar, not a cheat, not a user.